Well, this one won't take long. Ugh. Hello and welcome to the round 8 review as the Blues get absolutely pumped by the Crows at Adelaide Oval in round 8. It was 7 goals 8, 50 to 16 goals 14, 110. Down by 10 goals at the hands of the Adelaide Crows. And to be honest, should have been more. Am I being disrespectful to the Crows if I say it should have been more? Complete and utter capitulation. Beaten in every single facet of the game with full health, no excuses. It's been a while. I mean, we got thumped by Hawthorn late last year, but you can make the argument that X amount of players were injured and lost players during the game. Nah, this one was everyone's fit and healthy, everyone's available, who starts the game, and just a complete dismantling. Could pretty much end the review there, but we'll go a little deeper. The game was billed early, right before the game as, the number 2 offense in the league versus the number 3 defense in the league. And let's be honest, if Carlton don't defend well in any game, likely to lose at this point. That's the profile of the team. If the contest and the pressure isn't won, and if chances aren't created through that contest and pressure, then we don't win games for the most part. So that was clearly the recipe. Adelaide, always good in Adelaide when we play them. The signs were there very early. I won't lie. The Crows looked sharp at stoppage. The way they exited from stoppage was clean. There was a passage of play early in the first. I think Charlie marks the ball half-back-ish. Handballs to a running Doc in open space, and Doc completely scrubs the kick, turns it over, and I just literally from that moment, I was like, okay, we're in for one today. There was a bit of a struggle. Cripps kicks a goal against the flow, thinking, yeah, maybe something here. Motlop gets pinned early, ends up in a Darcy Fogarty goal. Just errors. Interesting passage of play in the first as well. Ball's coming into our forward 50. Motlop gets outrun by Worrell. It was a genuine foot race. And I think in that moment, my entire perception of Jesse Motlop's speed was destroyed. I thought he was really quick. But yeah, little moments like that. If anything, to be fair, I thought the pressure was keeping the game at bay for a little while at times in that first half, because the Crows, they just had that surge mentality. They did their homework. I was pretty confident going into the game that if anything, we would be able to have an advantage at stoppage, because we've got Tom. Tom's in good form. Tom's got the attributes of the modern day ruckman, and he's also, in the prime of his career, and Riley O'Brien is sort of at that back end of his career, but the experience won out. Riley O'Brien not only nullified Tom De Koning, he beat him, and he had 40 hit outs, and you could just see the confidence that the Crows players had around stoppage off of Riley O'Brien's hand. It was brilliant. And then you start seeing Rankine surging out of contest, and Dawson going forward, being the most dangerous forward on the day in the end. I thought he was the most effective when they went forward, the Crows. There was a fear factor of, Tex and Thilthorpe and Fogarty, and fair enough, Fogarty, because they've been good forwards this season, and they are good forwards, and they're dangerous. But Dawson was the one that really hurt. There was no answer for him. And then he got going anywhere he went. Anywhere Jordan Dawson went, he dominated. Anytime Rankine touched the ball, he dominated. So he also hit the scoreboard twice. So that was something I thought might have been an advantage to us. These guys they're not natural midfielders as what they were drafted as, and they've just developed their game so much. And yeah, full praise has to go to Adelaide. I think there's an understanding. I mean, you can be angry at Carlton if you're a Carlton supporter, like fair enough. But at the end of the day, you have to give every single bit of credit to Adelaide for this, because there's nothing that was even remotely an arm wrestle in the contest. It was just pure dominance from the Crows. Our ball use is so bad when it's bad, and that was another example of it yesterday. 7 of our 10 entries inside 50 in the first quarter were ineffective. Losing the inside game, losing the outside game. We didn't even have the ball much in the first quarter. We only had the ball 33% of the time. So there was that. Second quarter, there may have been an element of a fight back in the first few minutes. Charlie Curnow kicks a brilliant goal. A great moment of individual brilliance, which the reality was at that stage, that was what it was going to take to maybe get the game back on our terms. Then there was a passage of play. I think Jesse Motlop and Elijah get tangled up. They get in each other's way. So again, just signs of misalignment, miscommunication, which was a hallmark of the last 3 weeks. The guys looked to be really clear on where they needed to be and what they needed to do. And that just wasn't there. The Crows, not every time, but they talked about it on the broadcast as well. When the Crows went forward inside 50, a lot of the Carlton defenders would sag back, and it would just create this space 40 to 45 metres out from the Adelaide goal. And the Crows would hit it most, if not every time. And we couldn't learn, and it happened quite a lot. There was this misunderstanding of when to press high and when to sag back. And as soon as that pocket of space was created, it's like the Crows were waiting for it. They were so patient. They were so direct with their ball movement. And then when it got to that entry inside 50, they would wait for the option to open, and then they'd be ready for it. And it was pretty impressive. And I hope that that's something that Carlton can learn from. Dawson kicks a goal on the siren of halftime. Absolute peach of a kick. And we're down by 33, which, to be fair, is not that bad at halftime. It could have been worse. But, I mean, we're going at under 30% disposal efficiency inside 50, losing clearance, losing centre clearance, losing contested possession. We had 1 mark inside 50 to their 11 at halftime, just completely stuck. And then, I mean, there were a few passages of play in the third quarter which looked better. It looked like the Blues were a bit more patient with their ball movement, but then it was all summed up with this brilliant passage where we work the ball, we switch it, work the ball up the ground, find the short kick, think our way through, find Harry Mackay in a lead, who takes a contested mark, and then the last 5% of the entire play, he just kicks it and miskicks it, and it goes high into the sky, and it just falls apart. And, and then it's done. Durds kicks a couple of goals in the third, but we still get punished on the other end. Keys gets back into the game. Rochelle takes a contested mark, kicks a goal. Down by 40. Tex Walker yapping at Adam Sard. Like, just all the signs. It's not working. Then we get to the fourth. We had already conceded our highest score of the season going into the fourth quarter. Another passage, a couple of passages which were interesting. So McGovern taking kick-ins, moving left, changing decision. So just already, something's broken down, and the Crows were so ready. It was like they were ready for every part of our game. Kick-ins, centre bounce stoppages, around the ground stoppages. They were just so prepared for everything, it seemed. And then there was one stat which showed up in the fourth quarter, and this is when I stopped taking notes. And it was the Crows had taken their 14th uncontested mark inside 50. And that was me done. I mean, the game was well and truly done as it was, but yeah, just one of those days where you wouldn't have been wrong in just turning the TV off at halftime and just getting on with your life and moving on. And there wasn't really an anger, like, and a venom. Maybe I've accepted. I mean, I've well and truly accepted that this group's just flawed. Early in the season was a bit of a meltdown, 0-4. Yeah, I'm disappointed. Yeah, okay, we can talk about the standards have got to be higher. They've got to be better. Like, it's unacceptable. Like, all of these things, yes, but they didn't really give a shit yesterday. Game plan was so wrong, outcoached. The opposition's coach was so much better prepared for the game than what we were. And mentally, I don't think the guys were there. Carlton, I don't think they were really fully focused. And then once a few dominoes started falling, it just wasn't their day. Was it just a bad day at the office? Maybe, but there's been 5 bad days at the office. So it's hard to just put that one in all right, it's an outlier, because it's not. So whatever. Next week will be different. You cannot lose next week. You just can't. I think there was a collective understanding that it was unlikely that Carlton was going to beat Adelaide. And that's why I was a little unsure, because the Crows, their scoring had dipped a bit in the previous week. So I wasn't sure if they were in a bad run of form and they were about to turn it around, or if they had been figured out and we were going to do something magical and beat them in Adelaide. But clearly the Crows found form, better team on the day, and to be honest, really good to watch. They're young defenders, Josh Worrell, Max Michelini, like really good to watch. And I think we can learn a thing or two from the way they went about it yesterday. The Charlie Curnow, Harry Mackay matchups going into the game gave me confidence, because Nick Murray was out. Mitch Hinge was also out. So I thought we would get that battle won. But these youngsters, man, they lifted. So I think if you're a Crow fan, you're stoked with that. I'd love to hear your thoughts and read your thoughts in the comments below. And that's really it. Like, on to St Kilda. 6-day break. The beauty of last week, there's the beauty and the curse of the 6-day break. So last week, we didn't really get to enjoy the Geelong win, because it was Sunday afternoon, into Sunday night, into Monday, and then away you go. You're already thinking about Saturday. This one, I think the same. Bad loss, but in a couple of days, we'll get to Monday, Tuesday, and that's it. Like, we're thinking about St Kilda. So can't stew on it for too long. Got to move on, and we'll go from there. What about you? What was your summary of round 8? Have the underlying issues of the Blues gotten worse, or was this just a bad performance, but because there have been a couple of bad performances this year, it's hard to group them? I'm curious to see where you think about this loss and what it means. And so we'll chat about it in the comments and go from there. Go Blues.